Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another lovely rider today. We have a connoisseur of Finearts, and that's her business. So we're going to learn a thing or two about the art world, and maybe, just maybe, there'll be something in it for someone else out there who will learn and get some wonga from selling art. So nice to have you here today, Sally.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, that's good. So tell us, how did you get into the world of fine art?
Well, sure. So I first started, I studied at university. I did history of art, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing and fascinating in such a fast-paced world that I thought, why not? It's such a fun thing to be in.
Okay, you said so. You went to uni and you specifically did an arts degree.
Well, so I first started with Chinese. I thought I'd learn a language at university, and then after the first couple of years I decided that, I want something a bit more intellectually stimulating that's not just about memorizing vocabulary, memorizing grammar. So I chose history of art and actually fell in love with it.
Okay, that's good. The degree, the A levels and GCSEs that you did. What were those subjects?
Well, so nothing to do with art, actually. I think my subjects at school were a lot more, I guess they were I did quite a few English subjects, so I guess English literature, English language, I did music, I also did French, so I did always enjoy languages. I also did Spanish as well.
Okay, that's good. So what have you learned about the fine art industry that you wish you knew when you had started?
Ooh, I guess that it's very multi-dimensional. I'd say that when I first started learning about art, it was very much, about the visuals, about the impact on the viewer. It's all very subjective, and actually there are lots of people in the world who view art as a commodity. It's a business just like anything else, and it's very interesting, I guess, to approach art from both of those angles, to see it's not just, yes, of course, the impact on the viewer and the way you feel about the art is very, very important, but it is also a business at the end of the day.
Can you elaborate when you say business, in what respect?
I guess you do have people, who are making art just for the joy of it, and that's amazing and wonderful, but they also have to sustain themselves somehow. So you also have to think about the marketing of art. You have to think about whether you're going to, be on display at an art fair, or which gallery is going to represent you. So it's not just about that, this pure idea of creating art. It's also about, well, you have to make a living from it somehow as well.
Okay. What are you, when you look at art, as a person who's a connoisseur at art, what are you looking for?
It depends, because if it's something for me personally, I'm looking for some kind of emotional reaction to the art. I have to look at it and think this makes me feel happy, this brings some kind of joy, or this makes me question certain things. It gives you that kind of visceral reaction, which I think is really important. But then also, if you're purchasing something, say on behalf of a client, then you have to think, well, is this something that they're gonna like? Is this something that's going to make money in a few years' time? Is this an artist that's on the rise, that has an amazing bright future, and they're not quite yet recognized? You have to consider all aspects of the art.
So when you say about the the feeling that it invokes, is that instantaneous? So when you look at that photo, drawing or painting, that you get a straight away reaction, or is it something that you ponder and then you start to think or feel?
I guess it depends. Like some pieces of art, you look at them and you instantly think like, oh wow, this is, this reminds me of this, or this, image evokes this. It really depends, because then also, sometimes works of art have such an important background to them, such a historical background, that once for example, you learn more about the artist or the environment in which it was created, then it kind of adds that extra layer of depth to it.
I think I understand what you mean there, because I used to live in Kenya, and I was living in a city called Mombasa, second biggest city in Kenya. It's on the coast. And I went out further up the coast, along the coast, and there's this place called Malindi where they do a lot of paintings and handcraft things. And there was this picture of I could say Swahili. Swahili is like a black arrow, and she had that Islamic cloth thing around her head, but her face was showing. And I automatically fell in love with the photo. The woman was beautiful, but the look, I said, that's like the Swahili version of a Mona Lisa, because she looked, I always said, that's a look when your wife gives you, your missus gives you, when you get home, you're in trouble, but she loves you, but you're in trouble. She's not sure she's going to beat you, shout at you, hug you. That is just, and I said, I need this fashion. I need this. I haven't got anybody on me. All right, I'll come back next time. And I forgot. I didn't forget. It kept me. And by the time I got back, the picture had gone. I was so disappointed.
Oh no!
But I loved. I tell you what. I love that. That was a really good. And I was trying to tell the local craftsman about it, but no one. It's like only I had seen the painting, even though it was on sale. It had been on sale there. So whoever had that painting, I would happily pay quite a bit to get it off. So I can understand where people come from the love of art. Yeah. You said about what kind of art do you normally deal with?
I mean, I think nowadays the main market is in contemporary. You do still get a lot with modern and impressionist and old masters as well. But I think that the older you go and the more historic you go, the higher the price tag is. So not everyone can afford to spend this many million on an old master's piece, but you have so many new people who are entering the art market who do have a bit of spare income, and they think that, oh well, it would be great to purchase a piece of art. What's something that I can look at which I find aesthetically pleasing, but will also, if I want to sell it in a few years' time, will make me money on my purchase. And contemporary is the market to do that, because you have so many new amazing artists who are up and coming, whose price tags are lower, and then in years to come, when they're more established and more famous, that yes, you will be able to say, oh actually this artist that I love, I was there at the start when they were just entering the art market, and now look at them, they're famous. They have galleries representing them everywhere. They exhibit at all the art fairs. It's just, I think contemporary.
You named about 3 or 4 different types of art. Can you explain the differences, please?
Sure. So I guess it's kind of difficult, because the lines between modern and contemporary are very, very obscure. But I'd say at least with contemporary, you would consider, 21st century. Contemporary can be, anything from, I would say 21st century. Whereas like impressionist and modern, you have, I guess like famous pieces with, it's more to do with like brush strokes and paintings. What they're actually depicting as well depends. Like, I mean, Monet, for example, is like a really famous impressionist artist, and his was all about the brush strokes and creating these amazing pictures and portraits.
So when you say, you're losing me a bit, when you say impressionist, what do you mean exactly?
So impressionist artists are ones who they take like, you know, the image of a boat in the sea or a field of flowers, and they interpret it in their own way. They're not trying to do it realistically.
Like a tradition.
Yeah, like old masters would take, you know, they'd see an image of like two people standing next to each other, and they would depict that, and that would be it. And their value would kind of be on how realistic the image is. Whereas if you have an artist like Monet, who takes, you know, these amazing images of gardens and water lilies and natural scenes, but they don't try and depict it exactly how it is. They kind of put their own, I guess, impression on it, their own interpretation on it. And that's what makes them impressionist. And it's also to do with the era as well. I mean, this was before modernism. So after Old Masters, before modernism is where Impressionism comes in.
A Vincent van Gogh painting, sorry, not drawing. What's that? Is that a traditional? What is that?
So Vincent van Gogh would be Impressionist.
He's impressive, is it?
Yeah, because, you know, he does these amazing, for like the one I'm thinking of is the water lilies painting, which I think recently sold in an auction house, and it's absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, but he's not drawing like every single outline of the water lilies. He's not depicting it. It's not photorealistic. Like as in like it doesn't look like it's just been taken from a photo. It's actually, no, he's kind of made the lines are slightly blurred. He's mixed the colors together. He's sort of put his own interpretation on it.
Okay, that's interesting. And the other styles?
So there's modern, which follows that, and then followed by contemporary. And then I guess the very traditional would be the Old Masters, which is, as I said, like the very photorealistic, where it literally, you know, you see when you think of like anything that's in like the National Portrait Gallery, for example, most of that is Old Masters, where you see, you know, like a person standing next to like a vase of flowers, like, and they've painted that.
Like I go to the Greenwich Museum and I see the Napoleonic battle. That's traditional.
Yeah, that would be Old Masters.
I like traditional. I like because there's no complication.
Well, exactly, and it has a huge market appeal, but the problem with those paintings is that they don't come to market very often because there's a very limited supply of them. So when they do come to market, they're so expensive. You're talking about like the hundreds of millions. It's a very, very select few who can even consider, you know, bidding for them or buying them.
Okay, that's interesting. And the contemporary, did we cover contemporary, or was it?
Yeah, so contemporary, yeah, I'd say like, you know, 21st century. It's people who are, I guess, kind of pushing the boundaries of what you would think, you know, art to be. Like, I think you see a lot of, particularly in like sculpture or in film, in moving image. It's things that, you know, sometimes you go to an art gallery and you be like, oh, is this art? Like, it's that kind of pushing the boundaries. Okay, yeah.
So like one paintbrush stroke on a big A0 canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
Go, what? Listen, I ain't paying for that. Clear off. Okay, let's see where we're going.
But yeah,
that is not my cup of tea. But
no.
But do you like that contemporary?
I mean, I think I love contemporary because it's such a broad category of art, because it literally covers, you know, anything that's been produced in the last 20 years or so. And there are artists out there who are doing amazing things where, so for example, like there's an artist who, like, they use, like, for example, like, they're inspired by manga and like Japanese anime. Yeah. So they create, like, you know, like a print that's got all of these characters that, you know, if you'd see it, you think like, oh, it's just something from a cartoon, but they're bringing in all of these like external cultural influences that. And things that you're like, oh, it's not really like, it's not a traditional form of art, but it's still really beautiful to look at. And I think that's what's great about contemporary art.
I had a friend, well, have a friend, and she paints, and when she got really angry with her boss one time, you painted this drawing and it's really deep red. It's different shades of red. And she really went over it, and she went. It took her 3 days to paint this painting, but at the end, however you turned the painting, it gave a different image. It was really good. And when she showed it as another fellow podcaster, and everybody was like, "Really?" And I said, "I'd pay money for that."
That sounds amazing.
I'd actually pay money for that. She's doing art now. She's starting to. Well, she's been doing it for 20 years privately. But now I suggested to her to, come out, so to speak, and that kind of thing. But that's what I was thinking. Maybe you would have been interested in seeing some of her art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because on that case.
And I think this is the problem, more often than not, with the art market, is that there are so many amazing artists out there, but it's very, very difficult to enter that, second tier, first tier market, and it's just it's so difficult.
I understand. What would you say you've learnt? I didn't ask you this question. I've interviewed a lot of people today already that you wish you knew when you started about the art industry.
I think I think like I said, I think it's that it's so multifaceted that yes, what you create is obviously so important, but you can't just create something amazing and then expect the whole world to know about it. It's a lot about how you market yourself, how you promote yourself, as much as I hate to say it, what connections you have, which galleries you exhibit at, which art fairs you go to. It's because otherwise you could be producing this, absolutely fantastic art, but who's going to see it?
In saying that, what's the best way you would say to an artist to get known? Is it social media? What is it?
I think it's interesting actually, because nowadays social media is really a way forward. Things like Instagram, they give so many artists a new platform and a way to reach a wider audience that before they would have to pay so many pounds to exactly, you'd have to enter your work into an art fair, or you'd have to try and find a gallery to represent you. But with social media, you can you make sure you tag the right people, you put the right hashtags, and if you have a strong enough social media following, then you can do anything.
So would it be fair to say it's more about how you use social media, what platforms you use, and what taglines, and the lighting, how you light that picture up? Because obviously you need to have
you have to take good photos of it.
Clear, so people can see the brush marks.
Exactly. And over the last year or so with the pandemic, it's been interesting that with a lot of auction houses and them having to pivot online, the works of art that photograph better have been selling better, because people haven't been able to go into the galleries and the auction houses and see them in person, so they've been doing everything from the screens on their phone or their laptops.
As a person who deals with the arts and buying, I take it you're buying and selling.
Working on behalf of clients for buying and selling.
How do you find clients, or do they find you? And if so, how does the process work?
I guess normally it's people coming to us. I'd say clients who say, well, I have some spare income, I want to invest in art, I think the art market's amazing, how can I make money from this? And that's how we come in and advise them. Or even similarly, it's people who want to build a collection, but they don't really know where to start. And I think with a lot of galleries and auction houses, you don't, because it's quite an opaque market, you don't really know if you're getting a good deal, or if the art dealer is ripping you off and trying to sell you something for 3 times the amount that it should be, which I guess is where we come in.
So you've been doing this for how long?
I guess 2.5 years now.
Okay. And you seem very comfortable in the industry.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's just there's so much excitement in the art market because, you know, it's always changing. There's always someone new, someone upcoming, and the fact that it's never, you know, it's never going to be the same day to day, which makes it a bit, you know, gives you a bit of excitement in your day to day.
Well, based on this interview, which you've been a perfect guest,
Thank you.
I will have to give you this opportunity to say, do you want to give out any social media line where people can find you who are artists or who would want to do collections in art?
I mean, to be honest, like for me, I don't think that I would be the right person to reach you. I'm just one of the many in the cog. But I would say that one of my, I guess, like favorite platforms any for artists or even people who just want to work in the art world is Arts Jobs. It's this website platform run by the UK Arts Council, and they post some amazing opportunities on there for anyone, you know, working from like administrative work to, I guess, being like first hand behind the scenes, or even like artists themselves. You know, they have amazing programs and things that they run, and it's just a great resource to see what's out there, see how you can apply, and yeah, get your name known.
So it's Arts Jobs. That's
Arts Jobs.
ARTSJOBS.
Yes, correct.
Arts Jobs. And it's on all social medias?
Yes, it is. I think they have a Twitter, they have an Instagram, and even if you just Google it, it will be the first result. Yeah, it's run by the UK Arts Council.
So they should be able to give you all the advice in starting up, selling and buying.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Last question is, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I guess, I mean, obviously you want it to be a positive impact, but whether it's just getting someone more interested in the arts, because I know that, you know, during COVID and the pandemic, the arts have suffered quite seriously. But get someone interested in what's out there, whether it's going to a gallery or, you know, an exhibition or whatever it is, and just seeing what artists there are, not necessarily in the big main institutions, but the ones who are working through Instagram, the ones who are up and coming, and just, you know, they need those followers and that support to really get their name out there.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. You've been of great interest and enlightening, and we wish you well.
Thank you so much.
We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.